Hello, welcome to another episode of AI Spotlight Show. We are live here at AI4 conference here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And today is the second day of the conference. We had an amazing keynote with Dr. Godfrey Hinton. And I believe we've been able to interview about 6 or 7 companies. And now we have another company that we want to feature with a different kinds of AI solution. And who do we have the opportunity of speaking with?
Hi, everybody. I am Christina Brady. I am the CEO and one of the co-founders of the company.
Wow, that is amazing. Do you mind telling our audience a little bit background about you? How did you get into this?
Yeah, so I'm basically an 18-year go-to-market veteran. I've been an operator for my entire career. So 18 years ago, I started as an account executive, a salesperson, and I worked my way up across multiple different technology companies into leadership and executive leadership. And I've also been a trainer for the last 15 years. And so I've had the opportunity to train and up-level over 30,000 revenue professionals. And a lot of the gaps that I saw when trying to upskill and up-level my team and how reactive go-to-market teams are and how much revenue erosion there is because of an inability to identify when customers are about to be impacted, that's what, prompted me to start the company.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Lostar AI. When was the company founded? And give us a description about the company.
So we founded the company in January of 2024. We launched the product in July of 2024, just about a year ago.
Okay.
And we basically aim to change the way that go-to-market teams produce revenue. So there's 3 parts to what we do. The first is it's a comprehensive diagnostic tool. So we diagnose every customer-facing employee against the critical skills that they need to be proficient in their role. So then we're able to identify where are you proficient, where are you deficient at any point in time. The next layer is the predictive layer. Not all skill gaps are created equal. So the predictive layer looks at the actual customer interactions that you have scheduled on your calendar, predicts where you're about to make a revenue impacting mistake because of your skill deficiencies. And then step 3 is the prescription. So when we identify that you have a skill gap that's about to erode revenue on an actual customer call, now we prescribe the training, enablement, coaching, AI role play, AI practice to stop that revenue erosion from actually happening. So instead of finding out after a call that you made a mistake and losing revenue, we can actually predict before the call where that's about to happen and then stop it from happening. So the company's called Luster because we're meant to be sort of the crystal ball for your sales and support team.
Wow, that is an excellent description.
Thanks.
Now, let's go deep dive into the specific products.
Yeah.
Now, what are the product offering?
Yeah. So it's kind of, each one goes along with those 3 steps. So the first step is like the diagnostic tool.
Okay.
So it's basically a comprehensive skill proficiency mapper.
Okay.
So we're able to take your entire team, take the skills that are critical for your business specifically, and Luster will objectively measure the entire team against the proficiencies that really matter for performance. So that's kind of the first product, is just that comprehensive proficiency mapper. The second product, that predictive layer, that piece is what's actually looking at saying, how do we prioritize what learning you need to do right now? If you are spending time up-leveling your team on gaps that they don't have to use on actual customer calls, not only are they continuing to make revenue impacting mistakes that are hurting your business, but by the time they use the skill that you just coached them on, they've probably forgotten all the coaching that you gave to them. So how do we actually help go-to-market teams prioritize where they're training and coaching? That one then also comes with a lot of insights for the manager, like the middle management team. So we give one-on-one coaching reports to leaders. We help leaders identify which calls they should proactively attend with their reps based on the largest revenue erosion potentials.
Okay.
And then the third product is sort of the prescriptive layer. So the prescriptions through Luster could be AI custom created content that we create for a single rep for a single call. It could be an AI practice session that looks like a customer conversation that you're about to have. It could be providing a live coaching opportunity for you and your manager by giving them a guide on where to coach them. So the predictive layer, there's a lot of different products that deploy to help people improve and get better.
Okay, great. Now, let's kind of deep dive into the use case.
Yeah.
So that our audience can have a better understanding of how they can leverage Luster AI. One, let's look at the use case of go-to marketing.
Yeah.
Probably maybe for the customer success team
Yep.
the customer engagement team. That is
Yeah.
one.
Yep.
Then second, let us also explore a use case of a new employee
Yep.
that needs to be onboarded.
Yep.
That is two. And let us also look at a use case of driving user adoption.
Yeah, absolutely. You kind of nailed the three main use cases that we have in general. So
Okay.
regardless of what customer facing role you're in, Lustre can amend to fit and measure that role. So there's three main use cases that basically outlined exactly what you said. Use case number one is hiring, ramping, onboarding. So you're actually able to use Lustre to diagnose the skill proficiency of candidates before you hire them. So you can objectively see, before I hire that CSM, before I hire that account executive, before I hire that customer support rep, do they actually have the skills that we need when they're coming into the organization? So you're not relying on subjective matters to hire people. So how do we help you make better hiring decisions and lower new hire attrition and the costs associated with it? Then if you decide to hire that candidate, we can now actually do really prescriptive onboarding and cut your ramp time in half, because we can see where you're deficient and where we actually have to up-level you. And so not only can we help you make better hires, but then we can also decrease the ramp time, which increases the ROI on every employee. So that's use case number one, kind of that hiring, onboarding, and ramp. Use case number two is what we call sort of like the certification or point in time. We just rolled out a brand new product. We just rolled out a brand new use case for customers. We just rolled out brand new security protocol. We can take any training that an organization does, upload that into Lustre, turn that into a realistic customer scenario built with AI, and actually test the proficiency of new training on reps with our AI roleplay tool before they go and start doing it on customer calls.
So before you move further,
yeah.
This roleplay tool, is it more like an avatar? Can you describe the interaction?
Yeah, so basically you are interacting with an AI version of the different personas that you sell to. So however many different types of people, roles, personalities that you sell to in your role, we create an AI version of them and we plug them into the customer conversations that you're having. So basically, Lustre, I can practice a discovery call. I can practice a demo call where I'm sharing my screen with an AI version of my buyer before I actually get on the call. So right now, the way that they look is, it'll look like you're having a conversation with Zoom with the camera turned off. And then there's also capability to deploy a live actual avatar, but you want to do it where it makes sense in the conversation, right? You're not cold calling people with a Zoom camera, so seeing the avatar when you're doing a cold call mimic doesn't make sense. But if you're doing a discovery call or a negotiation call, then seeing the AI person does make sense. So it's deploying it where it makes the most sense.
And how does the feedback work?
Yeah. So the first thing that we do is it goes back to the diagnostic layer is how do we train Lustre to accurately measure the proficiency of every kind of conversation? Then Lustre is listening while you're practicing or listening to your actual customer calls, grading that against the diagnostic. And once you get done with an actual customer call or a practice session, it immediately gives you feedback on every skill that you deployed and where, based on what good looks like for your organization, where do you need to be more proficient and what exactly do you have to do? And then where did you actually do a great job to give you some positive feedback? So that feedback loop is always happening and then delivering those insights back to leadership.
Oh, wow. Now, I want to kind of deep dive a little bit.
Yeah.
In terms of the feedback, right? Let us assume that the feedback requires maybe a member of the customer success team to take some curated learning paths.
Yeah.
Will Lustre suggest maybe a course external, maybe from a Google search or from a website, or will Lustre go ahead and create a content?
Either.
How does that work?
Either or both. Right? So what Lustre will do is it pulls sources from multiple different places. So let's say that somebody on the customer success team needs up-leveling in a certain area. And Lustre wants to deliver what that individual needs in order to up-level. Lustre can either say, hey, your company has already created a resource to help you, and we're just going to help you surface that resource. Lustre could say, hey, you actually need some third-party education on maybe competitors in your space, and then it's going to go to the web and say, here's some information that you don't have yet that you need access to. Or Lustre could say, hey, we're going to custom create a one-pager specifically for you for one call.
Sorry, let me intercept you a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you said that, does your platform integrate with the LMS of the organization?
Yeah, so integrations are like calendar integrations, LMS and CMS, CRM. So basically, wherever sales reps are working, we're intersecting so that we can surface those insights and those tools.
Okay, I think that is really amazing to talk about the integration.
Yeah.
Okay, that is amazing. Okay, can you talk about maybe some few use cases?
Yeah. So the last use case that we didn't get to is what we call kind of the everboarding use case.
Okay.
And that use case is where we are consistently measuring every employee that is customer facing, proactively predicting that revenue erosion, and then delivering that individual the assets that they need to avoid it. So the everboarding is kind of Lustre is following you everywhere and always saying like, hey, you're about to step on a landmine right there. We're going to help you avoid that from happening. And so one of the ways that we quantify the value of Lustre is in just the number of revenue impacting mistakes that we've avoided. We're actually able to see mistakes before they happen and predict them. And so that use case is how do we do that for every person on your team all the time and then deliver those insights back to leadership. And that's why I say in the beginning, we're changing the way that go-to-market teams produce revenue. We're not waiting for a moment where we're making customers collateral damage to our inability to accurately measure proficiency. We're changing the game there.
Oh, great. I believe you kind of touch base on all the capabilities.
Yeah, we got in there.
Now, let's talk about the responsible AI principles.
Yes.
Then, to what level, to what extent can enterprise trust Lustre,
Yeah.
with data?
Yes. Security is unbelievably important for any AI tool, and that's the question that you should be asking.
Okay.
A lot of AI tools are built really, really quickly because they're basically a user interface sitting on top of a large language model.
Yeah.
And that's secure enough, but the problem with that is it doesn't protect your data from training the underlying model. So if you use a tool like that, you can accidentally train the model on your company information, your competitive information, things like that. Lustre actually has a semantic layer within what we call our discourse engine that protects all of that. So every instance of Lustre is a custom coded instance. We're SOC 2 certified, we're pen tested. We don't share your information, even anonymized, with the model. Because that's the other piece is a lot of companies will share your data, but they'll anonymize it.
Yeah.
We don't even do that. So every single iota of data that we actually consume is kept within your instance, and not a single bit of it is shared down with the large language model. So we are pulling context up from the LLM, but we are not pushing anything down. And that's why we've been able to work with banks or like highly data sensitive organizations that are having really protected conversations because we can actually ensure that we're protecting the data. And we spent a lot of time initially building the tool to make sure that it was secure first. So while a lot of people in AI launched their product, moved really, really fast, we were like, if we build security and infrastructure the right way, we'll get to market slower, but then we will catch up faster because we'll be able to work with any company regardless of their data privacy concerns.
Yeah, that is amazing. I like the fact that you mentioned regulated environments.
Yeah.
Like the banking sector,
Right.
the healthcare industry. These are highly sensitive environments. Then they care about the data of their patient, the data of their customers.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and unfortunately, for those kinds of organizations, the insight that they have in terms of what's preventing them from increasing their revenue, they're not able to get that because they can't be on customer calls. They can't be intersecting there because they can't record them. They can't listen to them. So it's a black box for them in terms of what's happening until revenue erosion already happens. Because we have the practice platform that mimics actual conversations, we can take those companies and say, hey, for the first time, we can actually tell you what's happening on your customer calls before it happens and do something about it. So it's definitely given us a really good edge.
Great. Now, in terms of industry category, can any kind of industry integrate Lustre?
Yeah, we are industry agnostic because it's a true generative AI platform. We train your Lustre instance on your organization, your industry, the types of roles and people that you have. And so truly any industry, it's customer facing employees at any organization.
Wow, that is amazing. Okay, lastly, let's talk about a few of the customer success stories.
Yeah. The biggest thing that we've been able to see, because we are measuring the proficiency of a team at a level where no one else has, is real revenue results.
Okay.
So on average, Luster users are seeing 42% higher ACV, average contract value deals, than non-Luster users. We're seeing a 38% increase in sales opportunities created per quarter. We're seeing a 35% decrease in the amount of touches that it takes to create an opportunity. So we're getting more efficient. We've seen a 45% increase in skill proficiency in only 4 weeks by just using Luster. And all of that happens with reps engaging in our platform for less than 30 minutes per week. So that's like the biggest thing. And then so far to date, we've prevented over 5,000 revenue impacting mistakes for our customers. So we're seeing some really good wins.
Wow, that is amazing. Does the platform has a data reporting dashboard
Yes.
to be able to see all of this? Okay.
Exactly. Like the insights dashboard is what's going to tell you the proficiency of your entire team, the proficiency of all of your reps. It's where you're going to see the feedback that they've gotten on actual customer calls and on practice sessions. It's where you're going to see a lot of critical insights on revenue erosion risks. So we point out to managers, like, here's opportunities where you are likely going to see revenue erosion. Here's exactly what you have to do as a manager to prevent that. So it's helping managers and enablement be better coaches and trainers by giving them the data they need to actually be effective with their teams.
Wow, that is amazing. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of AI Spotlight Show. Wow, this brings us to the end of this episode with Luster, with the CEO of Luster. If you're an organization out there, you're trying to bring efficiency to your customer success team, or to your go-to-market team, or to your HR team in terms of onboarding, or also in terms of improving maybe the adoption rates within the organization. Luster is a platform that has the capability in terms of helping you to create curated learning paths for current employees and also for new employees. And also, if your customer success team is also onboarding new clients, Luster is also have that capability to be able to give them recommendation on areas of improvement. I will recommend that you visit luster.ai website and place a demo request. Thank you so much for joining this episode of AI Spotlight Show. My name is Steve Remain Henry Onowale, the executive producer. We are still at AI4 conference here at Las Vegas. Stay tuned to the next interview. And tomorrow is the last day. Thank you so much. Talk to you guys soon.